Girl was picking out nail polish in a supermarket when the store manager suddenly grabbed her arm. He suspected she was shoplifting and planned to take her to the office to handle it privately. But a few minutes later, the girl fled the supermarket in a panic. No one knew what had happened in those minutes. The manager chased after her. Just as he was about to catch her, an accident occurred. Although the girl struggled to get up from the ground, her bad luck didn't end there. A young life vanished in an instant. The supermarket manager froze in place, the female driver was already terrified stiff, and the truck driver looked completely innocent. At the police station, the girl's father arrived to claim her body, but his daughter's body had been crushed beyond recognition. As a father, he endured unspeakable pain at that moment. So when his ex-wife rushed over, the father refused to let her see their daughter one last time. On the other side, the police were investigating the accident. The female driver hadn't been drinking and hadn't violated any traffic rules, but she was overwhelmed with guilt, believing she'd killed the girl. The truck driver, however, was desperately defending himself. The road was an express lane. Even though he'd slammed on the brakes the moment he saw the girl, the truck's weight made it impossible to stop in time. He hadn't fled after the accident either, so the police initially ruled the incident an accident. But the media smelled ratings in the story and immediately turned their sights on the supermarket manager who chased the girl. They raised a controversial question. Even if the girl had really shoplifted, was the manager's approach too extreme? After all, she was just a kid. The manager was plagued by unshakable guilt over the girl, so he showed up uninvited at her funeral to apologize to her father. But when the two talked about the cause of the incident, a dispute broke out. The supermarket's surveillance cameras hadn't captured the girl shoplifting. When he'd taken her to the office to search her school bag, the girl had suddenly run away, so the manager had no substantial evidence. The father had never seen his daughter wear makeup, so he refused to believe she'd stolen nail polish. Instead, he thought the manager was framing her maliciously to avoid responsibility, and even suspected the manager had done something improper to his daughter. Reporters nearby raised their cameras, eager to capture the scandal. Affected by the incident, the once thriving supermarket was now deserted. Some employees resigned to avoid suspicion. What was more tragic was that the more desperate the manager's situation became, the more the media clung to him, even deliberately coaxing him into saying things that would outrage the public. The manager honestly talked about the troubles shoplifting caused businesses, but he didn't use that as an excuse to shirk responsibility. Instead, he bravely expressed his remorse and guilt, saying he was willing to atone for the rest of his life. But he never imagined that the media, in order to grab viewers' attention and boost ratings, would maliciously edit his words out of context, portraying him as a guilty man. Passers-by pointed at him and took photos. Vicious graffiti was sprayed at the supermarket entrance, branding him with all kinds of unfounded charges. The supermarket's landline rang non-stop, with angry members of the public hurling insults at the manager over the phone. Some people secretly supported the manager, believing he'd only done what a store manager should do. And this group had someone else to blame, the girl's father. Notes denouncing him were posted all over his door, accusing him of raising his daughter to be a thief and demanding he apologize to the supermarket manager. The media then shifted their focus to the father, trying to dig up dirt to prove he was an unfit parent. They camped outside his house, conducting interviews without distinguishing right from wrong, and even deliberately provoked him with unsubstantiated claims. When one female reporter forced an interview on the girl's father, he raised his hand in annoyance to refuse, and the reporter accidentally fell to the ground. This was labeled as an act of violence. The female reporter even planned to sue for compensation. It was absurd. A traffic accident that had long been ruled an accident had evolved into an ongoing social spectacle. The journalists covering the story saw a surge in their performance, earning opportunities for promotion and raises. But the girl who'd lost her life was deliberately forgotten by everyone. By this point, the father had a new obsession. He wanted to prove his daughter hadn't stolen anything. If she had, she must have been coerced, so he suspected she'd been bullied at school. Although the mother also didn't want to believe her daughter had shoplifted, she knew her better. Since the couple's divorce, the girl had lived with her father, and her personality had become introverted and inferior. At school, she had almost no friends, and she didn't dare to pour out her heart when she got home. The short-tempered father focused all his energy on work, staying away for long periods, sometimes not coming home for days. When he did return, there was no warmth or concern, only scoldings for everything he found unsatisfactory. When the mother bought the girl a mobile phone, the father shouted at her fiercely. After hanging up the phone, he threw the mobile phone out of the house, and warned the girl not to buy anything unrelated to her studies. But he didn't know that such simple and crude educational methods would accomplish nothing. The only things the girl felt were endless fear and alienation, and her mentality gradually became distorted. So it was likely that she had indeed stolen something. Terrified of being punished by her father if he found out, she'd chosen to run for her life, ultimately leading to the tragic accident. And when the father sorted through his daughter's belongings, he did find nail polish and other cosmetics. In the middle of the night, he quietly threw them into the trash. Admitting his daughter had shoplifted would mean admitting his failure as a parent, so he desperately needed a reason to ease his conscience. Later, he went to the school to demand answers, claiming his daughter had been bullied during her lifetime and that the bullies had probably forced her to steal. He demanded the school investigate thoroughly. The principal, caving to public opinion, made up a lie. He said a student had once been harassed by the supermarket manager, and the girl must have encountered the same thing before the accident, which was why she'd run so frantically. The father began frequently disrupting the supermarket, trying to find evidence of the manager's guilt. During the day, he stood outside the supermarket, watching from a distance. At night, he followed the manager silently. Even when the manager went to a restaurant to eat, he would tail him. Until that night, the manager, unable to endure any longer, knelt directly on the ground, begging the father to leave him alone. But the father immediately knelt too, shouting angrily, "If kneeling could bring my daughter back to life, I'd kneel forever." The manager felt no hope left in life, as if only death could set him free. So he took an extreme action. Fortunately, the supermarket staff found him in time and pulled him back from the brink of death. Yet another tragedy still occurred. The female driver of the car had never been able to get over the incident, burdened by deep guilt. Accompanied by her mother, she went to apologize to the girl's father multiple times, but every time, the father only responded with vicious words. In the end, the female driver had a breakdown and chose to take her own life. The girl's father had never imagined things would escalate to this level. Later, he went to the female driver's funeral, slightly guilty, and prepared to face the family's anger. But to his surprise, the female driver's mother didn't blame him at all. She even apologized on her daughter's behalf. "My daughter hit someone, but escaped responsibility in this way. I'm truly sorry." The mother's tearful self-reproach crashed into the girl's father's heart like a flood. All the truths he had ignored instantly turned into endless guilt and remorse. Fortunately, the female driver's mother refused media interviews and never told anyone the cause of her daughter's death. Otherwise, the girl's father would have become fodder for unscrupulous journalists again. After this, he no longer obsessed over finding the truth, nor did he trouble the manager again. Days passed, the media's focus gradually shifted, and the hype around the incident faded. Netizens' interest was quickly drawn to other gossip, leaving behind irreparable damage and harm. The manager's supermarket collapsed in failure. To make ends meet, he became a road repair worker, fixing roads while also trying to heal his psychological wounds. One day, he accidentally ran into the girl's father. The atmosphere during their conversation was much calmer. Both felt guilt and unresolved hatred toward each other. But when the manager saw the doll hanging on the father's handbag, he suddenly fell into a daze, his face turning pale, and he kept repeating, "I'm sorry." It turned out this doll had once hung on the girl's school bag. The manager was still trapped in the shadow, unable to escape, and he wasn't the only one. Once, the father had hated everyone except himself. Now, he'd forgiven everyone, but he couldn't forgive himself.